नेक्स्ट है प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ चिल्ड्रन फ्रॉम सेक्सुअल ऑफेंसेस। देखिए इंडिया में एक्ट आया वॉक में 2012 फॉर प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ चिल्ड्रन फ्रॉम द सेक्सुअल ऑफेंस। ये डिफाइन करता है कि चाइल्ड को डिफाइन करता है चाइल्ड फॉर द पर्पस डिफाइंस पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट, अग्रेसिव पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट, aggravated sexual assault, sexual harassment, and punishment for these acts. Abatement have same punishment. Attempts have half of the punishment. Using child for pornographic purpose and its punishment is also prescribed. Medical examination child key to be conducted on the same guidelines. This is 164A. Medical examination shall be conducted by registered medical practitioner जो employ hospital में run by the government or local authority, and in the absence of such practitioner by any other registered medical practitioner with the consent of such a woman or of a person competent to give such a consent on her behalf within 24 hours from the time of receiving the information of such offense. Registered medical practitioner examine her person, prepare a report of his examination giving the following particular. If the victim is a girl, examination shall be conducted by a woman doctor in the presence of a parent or a person whom the child has trust, or in the presence of a woman nominated by the head of the medical institution. Number 1, name, address, woman, age, by whom she was bought, ये नोट करेंगे. एज वुमेन की डिस्क्रिप्शन मटेरियल की टेकन फ्रॉम द पर्सन ऑफ द वुमेन फॉर DNA प्रोफाइलिंग. जी के मार्क्स अगर होंगे वो देखेंगे पर्सन ऑफ द वुमेन पे. जनरल मेंटल कंडीशन देखेंगे ऑफ द वुमेन. अदर मटेरियल particular if reasonable detail. Report shall state reasons for each conclusive arrived. The report shall specifically record that the consent of the woman or of the person competent to give such a consent on her behalf. Exact time of the commencement and completion of the examination shall also be noted in this report. Then a registered medical practitioner shall without delay forward the report to the investigating officer who shall forward it to the magistrate. ठीक है, इस तरह फॉरवर्ड होगी रिपोर्ट. चाइल्ड अंडर दिस एक्ट इज़ वन हु इज़ बिलो द एज ऑफ 18 ईयर. अंडर सेक्शन 3 पेनिट्रेटिव सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट is when the accused penetrates his penis to any extent into the vagina, mouth, urethra or anus of the child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person. Penetrative sexual assault is also said to be done when he inserts to any extent any object or part of the body other than the penis into the vagina, urethra or anus, or make the child to do so with him or any other person, or when he manipulates any part of the child to cause penetration into vagina, urethra, or any part of the body of the child, or make the child to do so with him or with any other person, or he applies his mouth to the penis, vagina, anus, urethra of the child, or make the child to do so such a person or any person. ठीक है, तो पनिशमेंट जो है इसकी नॉट लेस देन 7 years may extend up to the life imprisonment and fine. Section 5 देखें, aggravated penetrative sexual assault. When penetrative sexual assault is committed by a police officer on duty or out of duty in his presence or any other place, penetrative sexual assault is committed by a member of army or security forces by management of the staff या jail, remand or protection home by staff or management of the government of the private hospital, gang, penetrative sexual assault या PSA of with weapons, fire-rated substances, corrosive PSA cause grievous hurt or the bodily harm or sex organ injury, or PSA cause temporary or permanent mental illness, or PSA cause pregnancy of the child or infects the child with HIV or any other life-threatening disease या infection जो temporary या permanent physical incapacitance करवा दे या mental illness to perform the regular task, or PSA on the mentally and physically disabled child. PSA ज़्यादा more than once or repeatedly PSA on a child below 12 year. PSA by a blood relative or other relative or staying in the same shared house premises. PSA by management, owner, staff of institution providing service to the child. PSA on the child knowing she is pregnant. PSA an attempt to murder on a child. PSA in a communal or sectarian violence, or PSA by a person convicted earlier under this act or under any other legal provision, or commit the PSA and strips the child or parade naked in public. Punishment इसकी not less than 10 years और up to life and fine. ये हो गया section 5. Next is section 7, sexual assault. When a person does any act with a sexual intent involving physical contact without the penetration of vagina, penis, anus or breast of the child, or makes the child to do so on him or any other person, is called the sexual assault. Punishment जो है इसकी not less than 3 years and up to 5 years and fine. Next is section number 9, aggravated sexual assault. When sexual assault is caused by a police officer, a member of armed forces or security force, or by a public servant or management or staff of hospital, jail, educational, religious institution, it is called aggravated sexual assault. इसको हम कहेंगे. When more than one person is involved, this is called gang sexual assault. इस aggravated sexual ए से causing physical or mental incapacitation या disability या unfit कर दे चाइल्ड को HIV से या किसी और इन्फेक्शन के साथ टेम्परली या परमानेंटली इम्पेयर कर दे चाइल्ड की फिजिकली या मेंटली इनकेपेसिटेट कर दे उसको या ill to perform the regular task, taking advantage of medical physical disability, commits more than once or repeatedly. Child below 12 years, relative via blood, otherwise sharing house or household or owner, management staff providing service to the children in a position of trust or authority. Child knows she is pregnant. Sexual assault and attempt to murder or during communal or sectarian violence or by a person already convicted for sexual offense under this or any other law or commits sexual assault and strips naked and parades the girl. Punishment इसकी भी not less than 5 years and extendable up to 7 years plus fine. Next is section 11, sexual harassment. देखिए sexual harassment commit होती है जब sexual intent a person utters a word, makes a sound or gestures or exhibits any object or part of a body to make a child exhibit body any part to be seen by him or by any other person, shows any object of pornography purpose, or when person repeatedly follows or watches or contacts a child directly or through any other means, or when a person threatens to use any form of media or involvement of a child in a sexual act or incites a child for pornographic purpose or gives gratification on that cause. Next, section 12, punishment is up to 3 years and fine. 13, a pornographic purpose, using a child in any form of media sexual gratification by representation of child organ of child or of sexual organ of a child, or using child engaged in real or simulated sexual act with or without penetration. Punishment 5 years in fine. Second conviction 7 years in fine. Child is used by directly participating and he is punished not less than 10 years. Life imprisonment and fine. Person not less than 6 years. Touches a vagina directly participating in pornographic acts. ठीक है, ये तो इंडिया के अकॉर्डिंग है, इंडियन पेनल कोड, तो इसको अपने इतने अच्छे से याद नहीं करना. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट ये भी मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चैप्टर है अननेचुरल सेक्सुअल ऑफेंसेस. देखिए सेक्शन 337 आईपीसी डिफाइन करता है अननेचुरल सेक्सुअल ऑफेंसेस को एज अ सेक्सुअल इंटरकोर्स अगेंस्ट द ऑर्डर ऑफ नेचर विद एनी मैन, वुमेन या एनिमल एंड लेज डाउन द पनिशमेंट फॉर द सेम. पेनिट्रेशन सफिशिएंट टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूट द ऑफेंस. प्रूफ ऑफ एमिशन जो है इमटेरियल हो. दीज ऑफेंडर इंक्लूड सोडोमी, बक्कल, कोइटस, रैबिडिज्म, बेस्टियलिटी. इन सारी जो है ये डेविएशन है, इनमें ज़रूरी है टू हैव द असेसमेंट ऑफ द मेंटल स्टेट ऑफ द अक्यूज्ड by skilled psychiatrist. उसको चेक करें या forensic medicine expert for the opinion. So what is sodomy? Mention the procedure of examination and the sign that you will observe in the participant. Discuss the difficulties in the diagnosis. Sodomy, practice of sodomy जो है वो said to be common in town, mentioned in the Bible by the name Sodom, from which the word sodomy is derived. Modern practice में sodomy का मतलब anal intercourse between two males, homosexual sodomy, or between a male and female, heterosexual sodomy. It is called buggery. It is termed gerontophilia when the passive agent is an adult. एंड पेडेस्ट्री कहेंगे जब पैसिव एजेंट जो है वो यंग बॉय होगा. एडल्ट होगा तो जेरोंटोफिलिया, और पेडेस्ट्री जब यंग बॉय होगा, बॉय बीइंग नोइंग एज कैटामाइट. एक्टिव एजेंट जो परफॉर्म कर रहा है एक्ट को, और जो पैसिव एजेंट जिस पे ये एक्ट हो रहा है उसको पैसिव एजेंट, उसका एक्टिव. सोडोमी जो है परफॉर्म होती है बाय टू मैन हु अल्टरनेटली एक्ट करते हैं एज एक्टिव एंड पैसिव एजेंट. क्वेश्चन कंसेंट का जो अराइज नहीं करता और डिफेंस भी नहीं है इन द पैसिव पार्टी वाज अक्यूज्ड वाइफ. दोनों ऑफेंडर पनिशेबल हैं सेक्शन के अंदर व्हेन द ऑफेंस इज डन विदाउट द कंसेंट ऑफ द पैसिव एजेंट. अगर नहीं है तो, और एक्टिव एजेंट अलोन जो है वो गिल्टी होगा. इन इंग्लैंड वेल्स सेक्सुअल ऑफेंस एक्ट released homosexuality in the private place between the two consenting males over 21 years age, provided they are not merchant seamen or UK merchant ship or members of the HM services. In India, the apex count has refused to do so and left it into parliament. There is a class of people in the India जिसको मेनंज कहते हैं, who act as a passive agent in the sodomy. They are therefore known as the male prostitute, उनको कहा जाता है. They accommodate their client for intercourse via the mouth, armpit and intercrutal fold also. Among them, there are two groups, the hijras and zinanas. Hijras add to their tribes by recruiting boys and castrating them, the castration being performed by their barbers. When the wound heals, the scar invaginates. Their external genitals therefore resemble those of a female on a cursory examination. Being castrated before puberty, female characteristics such as feminine voice, feminine distribution of the fat and hair, development of the breast are common. They clothe like women and dress their hair similarly, wear ornaments and adopt the female taste and habits. Zinanas have live separately from the hijras and their genitals are intact. Both the hijras and the zinanas maintain a line of separation between themselves and the female prostitutes. The present editor, Dr. Subramanian, has seen number of the hijra bought by the medical legal examination, ages 12 to 65 years. In a sweep, the young boy's genitals are cut off and waist thread an eye-long needle is tied, which is asked to keep inside the stump of the urethra, except when voiding urine, until sphincteric action develops at the stump. Hot oil soaked in the cotton is used in dressing the wound. नेक्स्ट है होमोसेक्सुअल प्रैक्टिस जो है ना ये कॉमन है इन ऑल क्लासेस ऑफ द सोसाइटी ऑफेंसेस कॉमन अमंग द प्रिजनर मेंबर ऑफ द आर्म्ड फोर्स सेलर्स हु आर सेक्स स्टार्ट बाय द circumstances. The act is difficult to perform against the will unless the person is drugged or drunk. For the investigation of a crime, a medical examination of both the passive and active agent is necessary. It should be remembered that the false charges may be made for the purpose of the blackmail, and men may be tricked into homosexual relationship by men masquerading as the woman. Whilst on shore, particularly in the eastern seas, they can be identified by bluebird tattoo design on the extensor surface of the web of the thumb. एग्जामिनेशन देखिए पैसिव एजेंट की कैसे होगी प्रिलिमिनरी पार्टिकुलर नेम एज सेक्स ऑक्यूपेशन एड्रेस बाय होम एग्जामिनेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड एंड द टाइम ऑफ द अराइवल टाइम ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन identification marks consent for the examination brief history link especially regard the use of the lubricant and the degree of the penetration as narrated should be recorded. Examination should be carried out in the knee elbow position and in the presence of a third person. Most charges में sodomy, the victim is a boy or a young man. If he is not accused to sodomy, the following signs may be found. Genital signs में anal orifice is found dilated, irritable and tender to touch, and zone of bruising may be seen around the orifice. There are often slight abrasions between the anus and the tip of the coccyx. If there is a gradual but forcible overstretching, the radial fissure of the mucous membrane of the anus will be found. If sudden violence is used, there is often a triangular bruised tear of the posterior part of the anus with a base external. Anal and perianal swabs may be taken for the examinations for protozoa की evidence venereal infection HIV की and presence lubricant की. Sample hair का preferably any matted hair भी हम नोट करेंगे लेंगे और anal canal and the lower rectum should be carefully inspected through proctoscope and any area of the injury or the abnormality of the mucosal lining must be noted. Person may complain of the pain when the anal canal is being examined. Gait and defecation may also be painful. Here are other signs. Additional evidence may be found. Example, presence of spermatozoa on the clothing and the signs of struggle. Clothing should in all cases be subjected to laboratory examination for the presence of stains, either seminal, fecal, blood or mud. Only evidence sodomy का presence semen का in the anus. Any opinion to cause the dilatation should be guarded and merely state that is consistent with the entry of the penis. एग्जामिनेशन हैबिचुअल पैसिव एजेंट की देखिए तो हैबिचुअल पैसिव एजेंट जो है ऑफ द सोडोमी यंग बॉय होता है जिसको केटामाइट कहते हैं या इनच होता है हिजड़ा इन द इंडिया. द साइंस विच आर एग्जामिनर जो है वो एग्जामिनर शुड लुक आर एज फॉलोज. पहले हमने हैबिचुअल पैसिव एजेंट देखा एग्जामिनेशन और हैबिचुअल पैसिव एजेंट की जो हिजड़ा या केटामाइट हो सकता है. एनल स्किन इनकी स्मूथ होगी थिक होगी और एनल ओपनिंग जो है वो सिचुएटेड होगी मोर डीपली देन यूजुअल ड्यू टू द एब्जॉर्प्शन ऑफ फैट गिविंग द अपीयरेंस ऑफ द फनल शेप डिप्रेशन. एनल स्फिंक्टर लैक्स होगा ओपनिंग पेचुलस द कनाल डायलेटेड होगा और लेस होगी रुगोसिटी ऑफ द एनल म्यूकोजा. प्रेजेंस फिशर की या फिशर स्कार की अनकॉमन नहीं है और एक्सटर्नल और इंटरनल हेमरोइड्स भी प्रेजेंट हो सकते हैं. अदर साइंस में आए तो एडिशनल एविडेंस इज कॉमनली फाउंड फ्रॉम द इंक्रिमिनेटिंग स्टेन्स ऑन द क्लॉथ एज डिस्क्राइब्ड अबव. इन एडिशन एनल हेयर भी have been shaved but not necessarily the pubic. Signs of implanted venereal disease is a strong corroborative evidence. ये ठीक है. और homosexuals commonly exhibit feminine traits as regards dress, cosmetic, gait and manner of speaking. Next, examination of the active agent. Accused should be examined for the abrasion and bruises on the glands of या फिर tearing frenulum of the penis for the traces of the feces and lubricant about his genitals and for the peculiar smell of the transferred by the anal gland. Fecal soiling, blood, foreign hairs most likely had to become trapped in the area of the coronal circles, particularly uncircumcised. Those his clothes should be examined for the presence of stain, either seminal, fecal, blood, or mud, and his body for the marks of struggle. In addition, any evidence venereal disease का भी हम देखेंगे. If there is no great disproportion between the size of the anus and that of the penis, it is highly improbable that any sign will be found. In an habitual active agent, there may be elongation and constriction of the penis with consequent angulation of the urethra on account of the constricting force of the sphincter. Difficulties देखें diagnosis में क्या हो सकते हैं. Examination alleged sexual offense between the males presents rather more difficulties to the inexperienced doctor. In fact, it is not surprising that many pathologists who have not examined the anal orifices in the life are misled by the appearances after death when the sphincter is relaxed. An extremely difficult examination is in connection with the divorce when the woman alleges abnormal practices against her husband. Anal orifices can be quite lax following childbirth, particularly if there has been a perianal tear or some healed fissure, and old hemorrhoids may be normal finding, making it extremely difficult to say for certain whether the allegation is true unless it has been persistent practice, and such a practice is not uncommon. Next है write a short note on the buccal coitus tribadism. Buccal coitus देखें तो it is intercourse पर also falls under the section 377 IPC. It is punishable accordingly. Intercourse with the mouth is usually practiced in adult male on children, and is also called sign of Gomorrah because it was prevalent in biblical town of that name. Buccal swab from the victim within 8 hours of the oral penile contact, provided there has been no cleaning of the teeth nor consumption of the hot drinks, will frequently reveal seminal traces. Rarely faint teeth marks and the abrasion may be seen on the penis of the assailant. Fellatio means oral stimulation or manipulation of the penis, or either by male or female. It is known as fellatio. Cunnilingus means oral stimulation of the female genitals. Next है tribadism. ये form a mental aberration की known as lesbian love or lesbianism. According Greek mythology, women, the female population of the isle of Lesbos practices perversion and hence the name. It is known as female homosexuality. इसका मतलब gratification of sexual desire of a woman by another woman. The instrument of passion is usually the clitoris, which may be enlarged. Males and females used an artificial phallus or penis for this purpose. Tribadism is usually indulged by a woman who have repulsion for the men or who suffer from nymphomania, perverted uncontrollable sexual desire. The condition is of little medical legal interest and medical examination is of no value in deciding whether the offense has taken place. What is bestiality? How will you proceed to examine the accused? What signs are you likely to come across in the accused and the beast? Bestiality means bestial sexuality. Zoophilia means sexual intercourse by a human being with a lower animal, either through the anus or vagina. Offense punished 377 IPC. Animal either domesticated है या farm का है, kept as a house pet या donkey, pig, goat, cattle, chicken, dog या cat. That person feels suitable for the purpose and may be used. Generally sheep जो है वो males use करते हैं and dogs and cats को female, and they are easily available, relatively docile and convenient in size. Most occasions में animal manipulates the genitalia by mouth and actual coitus is not quite common. The accused may be a young person employed to look after the animals, a sex-starved, lonely individual, or one suffering from some mental aberration. The superstitious believe that venereal diseases are caused by the sexual intercourse with a lower animal may lead to bestiality. ये क्योर नहीं होती है. It is a superstition. The sure evidence of the bestiality is the finding that the human spermatozoa in the genital tract of the animal and the animal hair in the inside of the pants or the under prepuce. Lockhart principle यहाँ पे भी apply हो रही है. Both the accused as well as the animal should be examined. Findings क्या मिलेंगे? Accused में penis may be contaminated with the fecal matter, vaginal secretion या फिर hair of the animal. There may be injury to the penis if such intercourse is through anus. Dung stains, animal hair, and injuries due to the kicks, teeth, or claws of the animal may be found on the clothes and on the body of the accused. In the event of the animal is injured during the act, and if as a result thereof there are blood stains on the cloth or on the body of the accused, important evidence may be obtained by establishing species of blood stains by the precipitin test. Next, a finding on the animal. Human spermatozoa may be found present in the vagina or anus of the animal. Spermatozoa of the lower animals can be differentiated from those of the men microscopically. Sometimes human hair may be found sticking to the animal. Human hair can be differentiated from the animal hair by microscopic examination. Injury may be found on the orifice of the animal. Presence of gonorrheal discharge in the vagina of an animal is a positive sign of bestiality, as gonorrhea does not naturally occur in animals. Examination by veterinary surgeon is helpful. देखिए ये नेक्स्ट चैप्टर है 29. ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, सेक्सुअल परवर्जन्स एंड डेविएशन. व्हाट इज मीन बाय द सेक्सुअल परवर्जन डेविएशन? ब्रीफली डिस्कस द वेरियस सेक्सुअल डेविएशन दैट यू कॉमनली कम अक्रॉस इन मेडिकल लीगल वर्क. सेक्सुअल परवर्जन या डेविएशन हैबिचुअल एक्ट्स होते हैं एम टू ऑब्टेन सेक्सुअल ग्रेटिफिकेशन विदाउट सेक्सुअल इंटरकोर्स, और इसमें सैडिज्म, मसोचिज्म, फेटिशिज्म, एक्जिबिशनिज्म, ट्रांसवेटिज्म, यूरेनिज्म, वॉयरिज्म एंड लेस कॉमन वन फर्चुरिज्म, यूरोलैंगिया ये आ जाते हैं. पर्सन हु इंडल्जेस इन सच एन एक्ट इज नोन एज ए सेक्सुअल परवर्ट या डेविएट. और इस तरह के केसेस इनमें समय इट इज़ नेसेसरी टू हैव अ मेंटल स्टेट ऑफ द अक्यूज्ड असिस्ट बाय द स्किल्ड साइकियाट्रिस्ट. सैडिज्म देखें तो ये एक सेक्सुअल परवर्जन है इन विच द इन्फ्लिक्शन ऑफ पेन इज necessary pain and sometimes the sole factor sexual gratification. Term derived away from the name Frenchman Marquis de Sade, who wrote a book in which the characters enjoyed being cruel. This perversion is more common in the males. Sadist bites, flogs, injuries, yeah, ill treats the partner. Injuries may be inflicted on any body area, but the breast and the external genitalia are commonly selected. The author has come across a case in which a man used to cause cigarette burn on the wife to get an erection. Extreme cases में there is a frenzy to commit a violent act known as lust murder, psychological equivalent coitus का, ठीक है. सैडिस्ट में परफॉर्म सेक्सुअल इंटरकोर्स ऑन डाइंग या फिर डेड विक्टिम पे इसको नेक्रोफिलिया कहेंगे. और में टीयर आउट द जेनिटल्स और अदर ऑर्गन्स एंड ड्रिंक द ब्लड और ईट सच फ्लैश टू सेटिस्फाई द सेक्सुअल डिजायर. इट इज नेक्रोफेजिया. A repeat murder may be committed when the frenzy returns. मैसोचिज्म क्या है? रिवर्स है सैडिज्म का, उसका ऑपोजिट. ये मोस्ट कॉमन है अमंग द मेल्स. विक्टिम जो है इस परवर्जन को ऑब्टेन करते हैं सेक्सुअल एंजॉयमेंट ओनली व्हेन दे रिसीव अ पेनफुल स्टिमुलस फ्रॉम अ वुमन. Such a painful stimulus may entirely replace the ordinary sex stimulus. The term is derived from the name of an Australian novelist. जिसका ये नाम है. Describe करता है character suffering from this perversion. Rarely accidental hanging has occurred as a masochism during the masochistic exercises. Autoerotic death जो होती है. Generally sadism और जो masochism है ये found होता है together with one type dominant over the other, and the combination of sadism and masochism इसको कहते हैं bondage. फिर फेटिशिज्म, ये परवर्जन जिसमें सेक्सुअल ग्रेटिफिकेशन एसोसिएटेड होती है विद द कॉन्टैक्ट एंड साइट ऑफ सर्टेन पार्ट ऑफ द फीमेल बॉडी. कॉन्टैक्ट एंड साइट और इवन क्लोथिंग के साथ या फिर आर्टिकल जैसे कि फेटिश ऑब्जेक्ट्स. फेटिश ऑब्जेक्ट होता है जो अट्रैक्ट करे पर्सन को विद इरेशनल फैसिनेशन अमाउंटिंग टू मैजिकल अट्रैक्शन. दस द क्लोथिंग, कर्चीफ या शूज वुमेन के एक्ट करते हैं एज अ सेक्सुअल स्टिमुलस टू द फेटिशिस्ट. ही वुड वांट टू हैव दीज ऑब्जेक्ट्स फॉर सेक्सुअल ग्रेटिफिकेशन एंड मे मैस्ट्रुबेट देम in them, and this may lead to fetishes to steal such objects or follow women having such objects, and he may thus come in conflict with the law in connection with the charges of theft or offences against the public decency. Variety of the fetish object is almost limitless. Fetishist who is fascinated by a female hair may follow the female with a long hair and resort to cutting them. Here, exhibitionism, as the name suggests, the term applies to the act of men whose sexual desire consists principally of the exhibition of the genitals with or without the performance of the masturbatory act in the presence of the woman and the young girls. Occasionally, women may expose themselves in the public. Exhibitionism is an obscene act punishable under Section 294 IPC. Transvestism, this is a perversion in which the personality is dominated by desire to be identified by the opposite sex. The fantasy indulged in this clearly being a woman, if a male, and being a man, if a female, and it is known as eunism after the name of French. Transvestite male finds sexual pleasure in wearing the female garments. The clothes worn are usually underclothes, braziers, knickers, etc. of the expensive and alluring type, and this perversion is sometimes found in the female who dress themselves in the male attire. The close association of transvestism with the sexual asphyxia is already discussed earlier. Next is urbanism. ये general term है given to the perversion sexual instincts and includes sexual gratification by fingering, fondling, fellatio, cunnilingus, etc. Fellatio means oral stimulation penis की by the male or female. Cunnilingus means oral stimulation female genitals. This is perversion more commonly than generally thought of. Next is voyeurism. In voyeurism, also known as a scoptophilia, the desire to observe the genitals of the others or to watch the sexual intercourse being condition of erotic excitement and gratification. Voyeurs therefore frequent parks and nudist camps to peer into the lighted bedrooms at night and commonly known as peeping toms. Such perverts may get themselves into the social difficulties and become the object of criminal proceedings. नेक्स्ट फ्रोचुरिज्म है, ये कंक्लूजन है compulsion to rub the genitalia against another person, usually in lift or crowds, and it is often accompanied by other perversions. यूरोलैग्निया, इसको coprophilia भी कहते हैं. Perversion sexual excitement provoked by the sight या odor of the urine or feces. Barker recorded a case in which one patient afflicted with this perversion was compelled to smear his partner's body with feces before attempting the intercourse. Pedophilia, sexual abuse child का by an adult. Sexual assault, molestation, exploitation, grooming, sexual penetration with object, non-penetrative activity हो सकती है, prostituting activity और trafficking in child pornography, causing depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, physical injury, STD transmission of the child. What is voyeurism? What is it as punishment? Voyeurism is the act of watching the victim's genital, posterior or exposed breast covered only in the underwear, or victim is using a lavatory, or victim is doing a sexual act not done in the public. The preparator of or his agent capturing such images is punished for first offense 1 to 3 years, for subsequent offense 3 to 7 years, and also with the fine.